Okay, it says, I don't know, Trina. It says,
I think we're live.
I
Yep, I
think it
got
says
that
we're
for you.
live. So,
Yeah.
hey, should we invite everybody else in? I mean, this has really
Yes.
been kind of a really cool party.
Yeah, I think we should.
All right, all right. So, hey, welcome everybody. It is a second look, and you know me and my lovely co-host, Miss Trina Phoenix. So we just speak favor all over y'all. I mean, we're just putting it in double doses, and we're speaking as well. Be of service to others. Happy birthday. We are prospering because, Trina, prosperity is everywhere.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
and it's amazing to me how many of us just kind of go, anyway. So we just want to send love out because Trina, the word literally before we went live, we've got a real tense situation building, and it's changed all of our realities. And this is what I want to bring out to the audience. Folks, reality is changing. Don't accept what comes with it. We can't we can't stop what already is in motion, but
we can lessen the effects for sure by consciousness and focusing on what's right instead of not looking at what potentially is wrong.
Yeah, and love, as they say, love covers a multitude of sin. So, and it's like, and pride, prejudiced as well. That was a good book, by the way, as Sheldon Cooper said, she has way too much pride and he has way too much prejudice, or it's the other way around. But so we speak love, and folks, just if you're not prepared by now in here, maybe you want to get a little closer to this group because so I just want to say I saw David Barry, and David, I love you, brother. And there's so many, Gloria and Joyce and Deborah, Project Skyfall. Scott, how you doing? Jules is down there. She's going to a music festival. Yeah, I'm all over that.
Fun.
Yeah, I tell you, I love that. I was like, rock on, baby. Yes, Lee Gilbert, how you doing? Yeah, hit the like button, feed the machine, because we love you when you do that as well. YouTube sent me this invitation to increase the membership, and they're like putting money behind it. And so the like buttons, as it turns out, this channel, are you ready for this? This channel has a 99.2% thumbs up rate.
Wow, Wayne.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's pretty damn cool.
Wow.
So the algorithm
that just shows that this tribe is super solid, that we
really
were super solid.
And we've endured a lot of attacks, and from the shadow banning to the rest of it. So
yes, absolutely. Yeah, all angles, my friend, all angles.
Yeah. I got that song in my hand, we shall overcome, may the circle never be broken. Anyway, so there you go. Hey, Courtney Mack, how you doing? Donna D, hello. Lots of new people. Kenneth, hello. How are you? Hi. Gloria. And so thank you all. It's an honor. It's love.
Yes.
We, as I say, Lucky Francis has said this many times, that when I quoted, your opinion is not a threat to my reality.
Years ago, I heard something so similar, and it was spoken to me, and they said, write this down. My purpose is more important than your opinion.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Yeah, my
purpose really is
more important than your opinion. Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Powerful words right there. I was like, I like that.
Good words to live by.
Yes.
It's like, I'll do a double dose. Big Al sent me a text and said, thank everyone for their patience. They're going to get, apparently everything is go. So the cards that they have been working on for, it seems like forever, seems like they're going to be coming out. So We thank you, Al and Karen, who is behind it. And we look forward to the finished product.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. Want to thank Guy as well. Thank you. And, the shout out again to Nathan, Fratershek. Good stuff.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got such good people. Hey, Harry, how are you doing? I haven't seen you before. The truth will sneak up upon you like a thief in the night. Yeah, we've heard that before. Yeah. And it's so often that is how truth is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, truth is relevant.
We'll be disturbed by it.
Yeah. And I think we need to understand truth is not confined to an ideology or a belief.
No.
I contend that there's a truth that man doesn't know about, because if we really knew the truth, Trina, we wouldn't be on the verge, as I speak right now, 12:06 here in Colorado, on the verge of World War III.
I guarantee it. And I know you're absolutely correct. We have no idea about that truth part and what's really going on. And you know who confirmed that for me? Brian.
Who's that? Brian. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he said to me when he passed, when I saw him burst in the light, he told me, he said, you were right. He said, but it's so much bigger than you can imagine. So he confirmed that for me, that this truth is so much bigger than we can imagine. Like we couldn't comprehend how big what we're sitting in, how big it truly is. And I was like, I kind of suspected that. And he confirmed it for me, because I asked him about that a long time. I was like, Brian, what if we're just a cell in a body, and that body's in another realm, and that realm is in another consciousness? And what if we're layers deep into these experiences through these dimensions? And we would discuss stuff like that all the time. And, when he got there, he was confirming what I had suspected. He said, you were right. It's so much bigger than we could ever understand. It's so much bigger. So I think you're right, Wayne.
It is. And, it's, as you ever thought about this? So according to lore, legend, myth, or maybe reality, is our species, man, Homo sapiens, sapien, whatever you want to call us, idiots. We live in what they call Middle Earth. And there is an earth that's underneath. There is an earth that is above, the firmament.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because you ever done any scuba diving or things like that? If you ever see where fresh water and salt water come together,
I have seen that. Wow.
Well, if you swim or dive in between that layer, it's highly toxic. In fact, it can kill you. Many divers will suffer from that. And it brought to point that, we're in this realm that we call the third dimension, but I think it goes beyond that, because, we're suppressed from underneath and we're depressed from above. Yeah. And then we get this thing called pressure.
Yes.
And, we all feel it. Number one, it's a natural element of this environment. You have atmospheric pressure, right?
Yeah.
We have pressures within us because we're a pressure vessel.
Yes.
I mean, I have this fear of needles, that's why when I was on the street growing up, I never had a problem with hard drugs, because no freaking way, no way. But anyway, because I always got this thing that if you're going to punch me with a needle, then you're puncturing my suit. This is my earth suit, man.
That is so funny. I literally wrote down that quote. Oh God, a couple of days ago, that it was a beautiful quote that somebody spoke. It was like, we're souls in an earth suit. I was like, wow, that's kind of what we are. We're beings in a suit. I was like,
we are. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. I was like, what are the light and emanating? Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was profound. It was just exactly so similar to what you just said. I was like, that's exactly what that is. And that whole puncturing into the blood. Oh yeah, I feel that too. That freaks me out. I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I
It
don't
freaks
either.
me out.
And
A lot of
when
people in the
you're
room.
talking about the as above and so below and how they're both putting pressure,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's absolutely right, because I've always been shown that the opposites of forces, which hot and cold, pressures, those are what create the friction, and the friction ignites the light in this realm, I believe. So I believe without that compression factor, we wouldn't be able to experience the material realm, because it appears that the material realm is only in the third dimension. So that's interesting to me.
It is interesting. I mean, it's chaos theory, and chaos theory is defined by that a singular event, regardless of what it is, a singular event will always set off a explosion, an expansion, as a result of its action. Yes. And out of that chaos, and that's what ensues, is chaos. Yes. But it does appear that our reality is one of chaos.
Yes, because the chaos is all potential, and it only goes into matter when we focus upon it. So we literally control the material realm with what we see and what we think and what we feel, because the feeling is the magnetic forces of this realm. And the magnetic forces are what magnetize and draw things into physical particle structure, geometry, and alignment. So yeah, without those forces, I don't think in the physical world could exist without it in this realm, in this construct.
And this is what's interesting as well. You and I were talking prior that we were live, was the fact that there is a prophecy that says that when this convergence comes and we do in fact enter into the new cycle, that the sower and the reaper will walk hand in hand. And what that means is that we are entering the time, and I think we're here, where what you speak will be manifested almost like that.
It's happening already.
And I contend, I was talking to a friend, a colleague yesterday, and we were commenting how the madness is spreading amongst humans. It is a madness. We can see it. Yeah. The violence is becoming more intense. It's just getting madness.
You're absolutely right.
And I contend, Trina, is that we're not understanding the new rules here, that when you speak something, it's going to manifest.
Yeah, it is. It's so interesting when you talk about the reaper and the sower. I see that as a key to the mystery of the 13.
And that is, what's that, hon?
Well, the mystery of the 13 is been explained to me through music primarily. Okay. Because, you have a musical scale is 13 notes, but the 13th is the first and the first is the 13th. But one scale is just an octave above another one. To me, that represents how we get from one dimension to another. I think it's a sound thing. And that's what it is. And the beginning is the end. So again, alpha and omega, it's sound.
That which shall yet be again.
Yes.
Yes. It gets freaking weird when you think that if this is a loop, then the only deduction you can extrapolate from this is we've done this before.
Absolutely.
Now that just blows my mind when you really get into this, that we wouldn't have any memory of it. As I did a show last week, I think that part of this process is that we're going to be wiped.
Go
ahead, Trina. Go ahead, hon.
I think that's a strong potential, but because how we're connecting in the higher realms, I think that's your anchor to keep your consciousness, if you so decide to stay in this body of creation, because I think there's multiple bodies to choose from. But you are in one body right now. We are in a solar logos of some form. So within that realm, I do think that there is going to be the ones of us who have the ability to connect to the higher realms as well as the lower realms. You're operating on a trinity. And that trinity, I don't think, can be completely destroyed. But if you don't have connection to all three of your powers, I think you will get wiped, because I think that is the whole reason that you're here, is to understand the union between the unseen and seen worlds, and to know how to remember that you are more than just your flesh body. And that's so hard in this world because it feels so real. So
you talk about the unseen,
yeah,
someone wrote me and said, why all of a sudden the interest in, getting all this equipment and, basically wanting to make connection to what this person wrote, the dead. And I wrote back, I said, well, the problem is that we have to redefine what dead is.
Correct.
I contend that we're dead now.
Well, we're in a vessel that is dying.
It's death. I mean, I'm going to do a show this week that we're all feeders. I mean,
I totally, absolutely agree. And there's no denying that entropy system that we're in, which is the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail. That's
and how could death be a release if, and if you just move that around, because this is the death realm. I have a professor who listens to the show and is found as he said, I'm probably one of the few that, as he wrote, that you've gained the understanding that this is death. Yeah. We are literally, we're literally born into death.
Yes.
And all of our philosophies, all of our religious teachings are predicated around this fact that they invert the truth by telling us that this is life. But it's not. How can life be so short? And then we sit here and we debate and talk. My consciousness is so important to me because it identifies me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
It's complicated.
I believe that's why we separated from the all to take on a separation, because through that separation, that's experiencing itself through its pieces, because in its fullness, it's everything, and it can't understand anything of itself. So that's why it put up the mirrors and the image makers, so it could process and see its own processes. It's like how we have the inner eye. It seems like we are the inner eye of source in one aspect.
Well, here's my challenge to this, because I was talking to my spirit guide in my meditation on this. Maybe, I don't know, it's just me. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear this, it's just me. I don't perceive God, Lord, any of this anymore.
Right.
The force is not a personality.
No.
We assign it a personality, which is the worst thing we could ever do.
Absolutely.
We tried it. We call it him. We call it it. We call it she. If there is a thing called source, it's not a personality. It's not going to be, Mr. Rogers when you cross up and say, well, I'm God. I had this dream and I was in this room again, and this being come in and was basically trying to say that, it was kind of the savior energy. And I told it basically go fuck itself. Correct. I said, because I don't need a savior. If there's a savior, then that implies I'm a prisoner. And that implies I have no free will. I'm not sovereign. So I don't need you or anything that represents that as an escape, because if that's an escape, then you're part of the problem that I'm already in. So if I'm escaping somewhere, most likely I can't be assured that it's going to be worse than what I'm already in.
That was the conclusion I came to, Wade. Exactly.
Mic drop. Boom. That's it. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And just like I told you, I was like, that's why I can't, when people say God and stuff, for me, I see it as a fabric of creation. It's not a being or a person or anything, but through that fabric of creation, I do see lower level gods.
Oh yeah. And there are plenty of them.
My goodness,
lots of them.
There's multitudes.
I doubt any of them are ever going to provide a safety or a safe harbor, as they would say. They seem to be rather amused, much like those gargoyles, of mocking us.
Wait, I wonder if they're not only mocking us, is they looked to me. This was my gut instinct, was they looked to me as if they were waiting to feed. And
yes,
they were, and then the ones with the crazy faces and stuff. Okay, well,
what was your interpretation of that? I want to hear this.
I think it was the like a drug addict having withdrawals and looking at the drug in front of them and not being able to eat yet. Makes you
so is that, and someone said, well, the reason they had gaping mouths was the drainage pipe. No, there were a few, but there's too many of them that there is something else. So what was your interpretation of that?
It's feeding, it's energy sucking, it's energy. And I don't think that stops just in the earth realm. I think this is a system of entropy, this whole system. So it's a multi-dimensional system of entropy. Because that one time when I asked the Lord and Master Saint Germain if they were vampires, they said yes.
By all definition, Jesus Christ is a vampire. Yahweh, Jehovah, is a vampiric deity.
They said this is an entropy system. Everything feeds.
Bingo.
There's no exclusion to it. And that was what was explained to me. It wasn't they're bad or they're vampires. It's like, no, that's how this works here. You need to comprehend this is an entropy system. This is
Seth Andrews, the Thinking Atheist. I thought it was interesting. He did a show on what I spoke about last week, that the religions that are the dominant religions of this reality are vampiric. They're blood rituals.
Well, that's why they need you to go outside of yourself for your salvation, because if you give your power away, you're open target for
it's weird on that, doesn't it? I mean, and to think that we all feed off of it. If you eat meat, you're eating blood.
Yes.
You could say as well within a plant, photosynthesis that takes place within the plant is, again, it's akin to blood.
Yes, everything here.
You look how many viruses feed off of our blood.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean,
that's what I'm telling you.
You start thinking about this and you go, what?
This whole system is based on the experience of the ending and the beginning. That's what I was telling you, Wayne. I was starting to see some amazing things with this. It's like, okay, when you look at, so the scale is 13 notes, but the octave high note resonates on the bass note. So there are truly 14 different vibrations or notes, because if you look at hermetics using phi, the one creates another one, but you combine them, and the one is the beginning and the end. The zero is the 0 point, or the silence, where there's no sound. That's where the Trinity sits. It's in the replication, but then there's that still point, and that's where the cycle starts over again. So we're trapped into some kind of a number loop using the 8. So somehow this system got corrupted, and the code.
So let's talk about the symbol of eternity, 8, infinity.
Yes.
That's vampiric in its actual foundation, because
it represents the Ouroboros, I think. I really do.
Again, it's vampiric. It means that, you have to take the life of something in order to sustain your life.
In a system of entropy, absolutely fact.
And I believe that exists as well in the spirit realm. As above, so below as above. I don't think there's that much separation and I think that's the shock for so many people when they pass over. They realized how real it really is, because it's not much different than this realm.
Yes, and the lower realms feed off of fear, and the higher realms are feeding off of positive chi. So they're just different sets of one's more magnetic, one's more positively charged. It's like a battery system.
It's interesting. Mr. Bojangles, I think that is correct. What about Jeff? Did something happen to Jeff? Did I miss Doherty?
I know he's not on YouTube anymore.
I know he's not on that either. I hope he's still around.
He is. I think he is.
Good.
Yeah, I think so. But I think, Resistance Radio, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So check him out over there.
And it might be on other forums, but he said his goodbye show on YouTube a while ago, a little bit, just recently. So
yeah. I saw the light. I was
Yeah.
So we loved Jeffrey, and speak always the best. But getting back to this whole thing on this culture that we're into, it's very interesting, because this is what makes us the antivirus. This is what makes us, and it's interesting when I talked about that pressure from above and from below. I think that is representative as part of what we would call our spirit. I'm not necessarily convinced we actually have a soul, because if the soul exists, wouldn't that be the consciousness?
Wayne, when you talk about the pressure, it creates friction. Friction creates a spark. I think that's what everybody talks about, the spark. We carry the spark, and it's because we carry both aspects of that polarity, and when they collapse on each other, it creates material realms because of that friction that's created between the two polarities. I think
so. As you were talking, so it begins to, we add into the equation. For instance, a lot of people are afraid of, the spirit realm. They're afraid of evocations. They're afraid of interacting with entities, deities, gods, goddesses. Yes. My experience with Lilith is one of the most beautiful things I have ever. It represents to me an alternative to what these entities are. I mean, I for 50 years was in an environment of fear, punishment, condemnation. Within that was poverty, sickness, lack. And because I wasn't worthy enough, good enough to approach God, I had to have an intermediary. And then that meant I had to appease the intermediary in order to get to what was the original.
And that was what was described to me was the Jesus trap.
And it's a trap.
It is. And
run, Forrest, run.
That's what was explained to me. And it was like, this is the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. You don't access these things with anybody's help. It has to be done yourself. You can't enter through anybody else. So this is a trap.
It is a trap. I mean,
it is a trap. And that's, Wayne, when I came to that realization, that was given to me by the Lord. He told me that. And then that night I had that dream of.
And by the way, folks, when Trina says the Lord, she's not
right. It's a
Jesus,
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it is. To be honest, I don't
know.
Well,
if it's Jesus, then I would have a real problem
I don't know what it is. It looks like the image that we've been given of that being, but it is
that's
not,
that's a created illusion.
That's what I mean. It doesn't.
I mean, when will people get this in? What we perceive today to be the Lord is a created manifestation of some very sick men.
That's exactly what was explained to me.
Jesus Christ, and folks.
Then down to the brutal description of, do you think that there would be no way to get down off of a stick? I mean, literally, it was like stupid stuff.
It's a blood ritual. I mean, if you believe in that fucking crucifixion, it's a fucking blood ritual.
That's exactly what was explained.
Jeez, folks, man, when are we ever going to get it?
You're freaking right. That's what was told to me.
So maybe you ought to use a different word than the Lord when you talk about your experience.
Yeah,
because it's
all
very.
I ever heard my whole life when I was a kid, but I never.
The Lord,
heard
it basically it means that you have to be subservient to the title.
It means ruler. Yes.
Yeah.
Leader. Ruler.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and you know what? I'm okay with him being a leader and a ruler of wherever he leads and rules. But I now understand that if I believe these things, I am giving myself under one of those rulers or leaders, and I'm not willing to do that anymore. I know that the work where I go is going to only be determined by the work that I do within myself. No one will be able to save me, correct my errors, wash away my sin. All of that was told to me that is a trap. It is an ultimate trap. And that was really hard for me to process, but I do believe it's true.
I was an ordained minister, Bible school, was in deliverance ministry, healing ministry, the ministry of prophecy. I think I have a good context of which, and I saw someone said about the Nag Hammadi, it's part of the same trap.
It is.
I mean, I get it that, where they're found, but, you don't know that. We don't know that it was actually found in Ethiopia. We don't know that. It's a story. You try to verify it,
Wayne, even when I look at the Nag Hammadi, the first thing that you see is that the whole principle of this creation point was based upon a feathered serpent.
Yeah. And my point is the Nag Hammadi is still focusing on the Jewish Yahweh.
Yeah, absolutely. It's serpent system. This is a serpent system for real. You're right.
And again, I didn't lose my cool. It's the intensity. The whole crucifixion story is a blood sacrifice of a human being, if it took place. Now, I don't believe it ever did. There were only 3 actual people that were actually crucified that the Romans worked about, and that was done under Titus. Was never done under Vespasian in his rulership, in which Pontius Pilate was the one that answered to Vespasian. Mm-hmm. By the way, the series on the History Channel of the Colosseum is a great history of the Flavians, because it's from the Flavians that where the story of the Christ was created. It was made up. But
there's a lot of evidence to that, Wayne.
Oh man, it just, and so but again, we don't look at it. Folks, I emphasize for so many. I mean, I've been disavowed by my family, so, to me, it's not a big deal. But as I've tried to tell each and every one of them is that think about this.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with the blood, and I know that Bible, I have a photographic memory. I can go and I can tell you thousands and thousands of references where the blood, it's all predicated on the blood.
You're right, Wayne.
Wow.
And that was shown to me too. This is a system of feeding, and their blood was a big part of the feeding, because see, the blood is connected to the etherical realms as well as the material realms simultaneously.
Yeah.
And that was shown to me too. They said,
and we're all on our own paths, folks. This is just an adult conversation. We're just
this is about understanding that, through all of the control measures put into our belief systems.
Yeah.
Those have been done very strategically because they really do want to feed off of you.
And it goes deep.
Yeah. When you start to see the truth of that, then you start to understand you really will be responsible for where you go and what you ascend to. Nobody will be able to do this for you, because it literally will be based upon the sound emanating from your spirit.
And that's powerful stuff, girl.
Yeah. And that's based upon the consciousness that you hold within your heart and within your mind.
And the other thing is, and we're sitting here, the world's on the verge of just going completely bat crap crazy, and again, I appreciate the message of love. I mean, I was, I remember the flower children, and then I became one. And, love, what I found in my youth was far different than love in my later stages of life, which tells me that love evolves.
Absolutely.
So why can't we do this as a species?
You know what, Wayne? I think that's the whole reason we're here, was the evolution of consciousness, and we are evolving just because of look where we're at right now.
Do you think that the evolution was and as I said, because if we're not evolving, then we're devolving.
And I think bifurcation, part is devolving, part is evolving. I think you're right on both.
But about love, though, if we think about it, do we really understand what love truly is? I mean, Paul wrote, there's 4 different, there's eos, that's the erotic side of it. Then you have the agape, which is the divine aspect of love. Then you have, help me out, audience, on this. The third one.
Brotherly love was one of them.
I'm trying to think of the Greek word for it. What I learned in ministry was that there are 4 different types of love, which indicate that there is a an evolution of love. And I guess that's the question.
Think about too what you just said, Wayne. There's 4 stages or 4 principles of love. That's your foundation, your 4 corners.
Yeah, I think about 4 corners.
Existence.
Yeah.
You got it. There you go. There's your 4 corners.
Yeah.
And there's your 4 angels, each holding their own code of personality and light emanating into the field. Yes.
And the audience picked up on this as well. And, because, if we're adults on this thing, the platonic, yes, thank you. That is what we would then call where we say, I love ice cream, but I love my wife.
And I love my puppy.
I love my puppy. I love prosperity. It's like, well, wait a minute. And the interesting thing is, I buy my wife flowers at least once a week. Oh yeah. Happy wife, happy life. That's love evolving in me. You learn these things, but it's so true because, and then we can experience different types of love all at the same time.
That's why I tell you, that's why it makes sense that love is the fabric of what they would call source. And it holds different aspects, different principles, different functions, but it is the force that literally creates all of it through the powers of love. Because, opposite end of that is really powerful negative energies, because love and hate are the same frequency. They're just sitting on different ends of the scale. One's on the negative part and one's on the positive. This is a powerful, powerful energy. Very powerful energy.
And I want to do a follow-up on the whole Christ thing. Listen, if you did a good study, and folks, for those who I know have some difficulty here, if you were to literally write out the 4 gospels word for word, and then extrapolate that which is strictly love that this individual supposedly spoke of, you will find that add the story, it's about less than 10% of what the individual talked about, because this individual also said, I did not come here to bring peace, but the sword.
Yes.
I came to define husband and wife, father and son, etc.
With the truth.
Exactly. I mean, so
divide people for real. It will.
Yeah.
And Wayne, I look at other stuff too all the time. Okay, what if Yeshua simply means the solar plexus, the sun, and Ophiuchus? What if Christ truly just means the spinal fluid, the chi, and the light? What if the light, it emanates through the dimensions of this matrix, is called the Yeshua complex? What if these are just titles for functions of creation? People have put them into people when they're absolutely not that. They're bigger than that.
Love it.
Yeah, what if the chakras are energy gates? And not only do we have 7, each one is dual, so it's 14. Again, we go to the 14th dimension, which is the beginning and the end existing in the same freaking place, just in one's in a higher octave, one's in a lower octave, but it's the beginning and the end, and it's the same. It's the 13 replicating back into the loop again, going back into the cycle. What if Yod is simply means Mars? What if our blood in all of its attributes comes strictly from Mars? It's the iron planet. What if that, the iron god, the iron age? It's so simple when you look at this micro macro. We've given too much power to these belief systems as a power outside of ourselves, and we've completely missed the concept that these things are inside of us. And if we can't unify,
and didn't that dude say that really the truth is within?
Yes, and if we can't unify those, you will miss the mark. And
the problem I see, Trina, is that the definition of truth is ambiguous.
Yes.
Because if you and I were to sit down and let's say we asked Joe second, and then we asked Jesse and Gloria and John Price, Mary Wins, you come in as well, Paul, Joe, and Esley. So we're going to get into a little side discussion here.
Yes.
And so what we want to do is share truth. Now let's say we have 7 in our little circle, yes. But the time you start and I will finish and everyone fills in between, we're going to get 7 different perceptions of truth.
Absolutely.
So then how can we all become unified in truth when we can't accurately define truth?
When you give room for other people's vision. And allow
So
them
then
to hold
that
their truth. Yes.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm digging the chat room's picking up on it as well, because
Let us all have our different perceptions, because that's the fullness of the fabric of the source thing. It's coming from all of us, which is all different experiential beings. We're all going to perceive things a little different. That's the truth. Because the more perspectives we have, the closer to the truth we will become. And that's the gift. So when we can learn to stop dividing against each other and embracing these different perceptions, not meaning you have to adopt them at all. You take what belongs to you, throw the rest away. But
so let me just inject this in our discussion, because by that, as I was sitting here, I went, okay, so if your truth, I look at your truth, I bring it in to compare it to my truth, but what if my truth says that isn't the truth?
Absolutely. Then that's okay too, because
So can the truth be a lie and the lie still be the truth?
Yes.
There we go. That's what I was driving home to.
Yes, it absolutely can, because
bingo.
It's based on your perception.
Someone said, I don't lie. I change my mind a lot, but I don't lie.
That's kind of how that would work.
I mean, isn't that the way it is?
Yes, I think
I don't know. It's just one of those little small things.
Yes.
But isn't it interesting how when we get in and break that down, that one's truth can be another one's lie, but
absolutely,
it still doesn't have to violate what your truth, because I like how you said it. If I say, okay, you say it's white, I say it's blue.
Yes.
All right. So you and I are sitting here talking, and as you continue to explain to me why this is white, I'm seeing the blue begin to not become blue, but now it's becoming more blue-white. It's becoming opalescent.
Yes.
So from that, I could then take from your truth, which may not be my truth, but I could then begin to say, okay, I can accept that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
isn't that unity? I don't know. Yeah. It's not love.
Yeah. And the thing is that when we can bring our ideas actually together and stop saying I'm right, you're wrong, and just put them all out, and then ask for the highest and best potential to come together in the manifested world, we would get such a more powerful result, because it would have pieces that I wouldn't think of, or pieces you wouldn't think of, but they thought of it. You know what I mean? And there's things I would think of that they wouldn't think of, and you would think of that they wouldn't think of. But all of us having our different angles of the same light is the fullness of that source thing, creation, God, whatever you want to call it. That's what it is. It's all of the potentials agreeing to make some type of a foundational formation.
Yeah, I think Off the Hook says, the truth is giving a person their own space, and it is true. It's very true, and it's. Go ahead on.
We're all so unique and so valuable because of our perceptions, and our experiences have defined those perceptions. And all of us have come here experiencing different and doing different parts of this little dance we're doing together. And through all of those different perceptions and experiences, that's the only way that we could even have a partial understanding of creation.
Yeah, and this the whole thing of creation, at times I begin to think, wow, we only see 3% of the known universe, yet we draw pictures, and we supposedly have satellite pictures that show us the universe. How is that possible? And then,
so just imagination. It's all their imagination.
Wait a minute. They didn't let me smoke that joint before they started, giving that stuff, but it's so weird. What does Claire say?
What if, Wayne, they're giving us those images, so we're creating the universe?
Claire, that is correct. Yeah. I mean, I'm manifesting. I'm good at manifesting.
Yeah, they tell us the vision, and as soon as we can see the vision, we produce it.
So if I know how to manifest, when I cross over into my freedom, and if consciousness is condensed of memories, knowledge, gnosis, So if I learn to manifest here in this realm, I can't help but not think, watch out, baby, when I get into the ethereal realm and begin to actually understand the ropes of energy, which I practice I do this little thing like chi, but what I'm doing, Trina, is that I'm seeing in my mind's eye that there's different energies, and you actually can shock yourself a little bit on that. But my point is that when you transfer over to the ethereal, don't we become a god or a goddess at that point? Because if I know how to manifest, I know how to take the ether and then make it, manipulate it, create it. Isn't that a god or a goddess?
I think that's why you came, Wayne.
Well,
I think
I have to say I've enjoyed the journey and look forward to a little bit, because this has been far out.
And you will be able to do that. If you can conceptualize it in your mind here, you will be able to make it manifest there instantly. Because see, here we have time.
Yeah.
And when we're in time, we have that buffer, the delay between the spiritual creation and the physical manifestation. There's a time buffer in those realms. There's no time buffer. It's instantaneous. So if you can know how to create plasma balls, energy balls, create energy in your hands, know how to move your energy, you will definitely be able to master it almost immediately there.
So that's kind of the reason why I'm getting into my own paranormal investigation, because my feeling is this: if I am dealing and I can begin to see these entities and begin, because I'll just be candid with you, I believe that we've entered into a time where the veil between the two realms is becoming less dense. I believe that we're seeing, and I believe that we will experience this in the world, that we're going to see manifestations of things. And let me just draw this point. So the thing with what Travis is doing with the Skinwalker Ranch, their experiments have shown clearly that there are portals, there are dimensional rifts that apparently beings of a higher nature are using. They're coming into our realm. They don't have to travel through space. When you have these portals, my point to this is, I think that this is indicative of something much larger. We know that if you speak the Hebraic vowels in a certain arrangement, that by speaking those vowels alone will open up a portal. So I approach the investigation. I'm a novice at this. I'm still buying equipment. But what I've been able to see so far, Trina, is I did this show 3 years ago. Do the spirits trust you? Are you trustworthy enough for a spirit to trust you? Forget you trusting the spirit. That's what I'm finding, is that there's an entity in our house. It's not harmful. It doesn't bother us. And it has taken me almost 2 weeks to be able to put my hand out there in a place where I can see from the camera it reaching out to my hand.
That's so amazing, Wayne.
It's beautiful. And so since I have the tactile senses, then and I'm still learning that I should eventually begin to feel it. I can't feel it yet.
That's what I was wondering, because I think that should be us too. I'm wondering that. I really think that might come. That's very highly
Hi, Pearl Jones. How are you? She says, I've got a lot of videos of portals opening. I believe that.
I know it. You know what I'm hearing the last couple of days? It's interesting. I just wrote all that down. It's about what is a star and what does it mean to be a star, and our stars, stargates. And are we a stargate? We know we are stargates. So there's something to this, that spark might be the star in the firmament, which animates our physical body through our own star light, because it is a portal, a stargate, and they connect to the other stars in the sky. And I've seen them communicate to each other,
Trina,
just like we do.
So if spirit possession can take place, you just invoked a thought in my head, because if another entity spirit comes into the earth suit that you have, there has to be a portal of some kind being opened.
Yes.
Now, you think about demonic possession, you think about possession, and you know, if depending on what your belief systems are, many people are susceptible to possession. Drugs, if you have certain antidepressants. I'm going to do a show tomorrow on 2 experiments that where they showed 2 women taking antidepressants were opened up to demonic possession.
Absolutely. I think it's being done on purpose.
So this says to me that then there has to be a portal, there has to be a bridge that we haven't really, religion won't give it to us. They won't expand it.
It's a sound. I know it. It's a sound. It's a frequency.
So they take over your consciousness, your body. Well, and actually, let me just retract that. Most often they do not take over your conscious. What they do is that they merge beside it. Wow. So you think about this. So you can actually bring forth by speaking, in which I was trained is you know, speaking in tongues, the angelic language. Now you think about that through that intensity of speaking that language, you open up.
You know portals. What I just saw when you did that, Wayne?
What was that?
I saw sound and I saw symbols coming out of your mouth as you spoke.
You wouldn't be the first.
I really did.
Did you really?
I swear to God, I did. I was like, what this shit is, wow. I've never seen that before when you spoke in tongues. First time. Yeah, that was profound. I'm on to something.
We got to have tea more often, Trina. This is just, you know, and y'all are invited.
They're showing me right now. They're like, you guys need to understand this is very much attached to sound.
It is.
It's very true.
When I'm in the shower, when the water and the frequency, and I pray in the spirit, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. It's amazing because
I can't imagine that frequency, Wayne. I'm like,
wow. it starts vibrating off the tile, you know.
I would imagine so. And I can see why, because I can see the sound and I can see the symbols emanating from you. That is abracadabra, baby.
Wow. It is abracadabra. It is absolutely.
Wow.
And you know, at Puma Punta in what is it, down in South America, you know, the portal, and they have witnesses of people. And if I'm here long enough, I would love to go down there because I believe I have the language that can open up because you sit inside the stone, you stand in there, and they say that the shaman who know how to start.
Wayne. Absolutely.
I believe that would be a portal that you could literally walk right through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You do have the sounds that you do. You do. Wow.
When we get together, we'll have to have a little fire party on this because you know, because it does work. You know, and it goes to show you that it's a gift. It's not a religious thing. It's a gift that I think many of us possess. It's just that we've been taught wrongly.
It's all within us. We all are carrying different attributes that we've earned and became masters out. That's one of yours. So yes, no, we all have different pieces. That's why I said when we unify, that's the closest we will come to anything we want to achieve, is embracing each other's differences. We won't do it any other way. It just can't be, because that's what we come here to do, is to unify the spiritual aspects of what we are with the physical beast animalistic part of us that we are, because we are both in this.
Hey, Jill, everyone's like, folks, it's natural, you know, it really is. Courtney Mass says, yes, some portals, some open rainbow bridges. I agree with that. It's,
you know, I've seen that so many times, and they show me that is when we activate all 7 energy wheels in our body, and it literally brings out a rainbow out of our head, which recreates a new field of light on our auric field, and it shifts the entire vibration of your physical body. And that is the rainbow bridge. And you can go to different multidimensional places through the activation of that rainbow. And it sounds, it activates a sound in the pine cone, the pineal gland, Wayne.
I think that that's what, in my case, and then this is just my opinion, that's why I continue to speak in tongues, is that there is an activation within the pineal gland that,
you know, right. They're showing me that it's sound activated.
And now I'm going to use the SLS.
And the mantras and all that. That's why. And then the churches set up with the acoustics the way this is all about sound. And
then when I start singing in tongues, that's when it really gets intense, because, you know, you can really get but I'm going to do this
one time. And
did you really?
Is she sat up in the middle of the session and she started singing in an ancient language, and I could understand it. And it was so beautiful. And I'd never heard anything like it before. And I haven't yet again. It was the only time. It was beautiful that she was praising creation, like celebrating God and creation in this language.
There is a euphoricness that comes over you. And Jill, thank you for tuning in. I am Nancy. My husband is still a Christianity. There is a mind takeover. I verbally rejected the two beings, Jehovah and Jesus. I felt so much better doing it. It's true, Nancy. It is.
I did too. I did too. And
you're not alone here. You have a lot of friends.
It's a false idol. There is a real spiritual foundation that
I believe there is. Love has to have a foundation.
But it's not given to us through these false idols. And that's the first commandment. Thou shalt not worship false idols. It's all false idol worship. Really,
you know what always tripped me up is that thou shalt not kill, but yet this is whoa, wait a minute. I'm confused here.
Slaughter a village.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Not as I do. Not as I do.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Forgive me for thinking.
Valid point, Wayne. Valid point.
I don't know. I mean, you know, it's like, geez, you know, and then the whole thing where it talks about not coveting, you know, your neighbor's wife and what have you. But then it talks about slaves, you know, I'm going, what? You know,
selling, and selling your kids.
It's like, okay, I'm so confused in all of this.
So I said, two sides, two hemispheres of a mind. The book is representing both parts of our mind. One is very much ego driven and one is very much spirit driven. And we're dealing with that dance internally every day. And that is the battle you're dealing with, is what's happening internally, because the internal world reflects in the external world. And with what's going on in our external world, guys, go use your imagination and connect to the stars and connect to what you are and connect to your light and connect to your sound and bring forth the inspiration of how to keep this vibration high so we can avoid a lot of the destruction and manifest hopefully a better way. And it's through understanding that the thing that animates all of us, I think, is the same consciousness of the logos that we're existing within. So we're all one in the same.
Barry says, which wolf do you feed? And that's the thing. True. You know, we are magnificent beings. We're complex. And, you know, fortunately, my youth, it's amazing. It says, you know, train a child in the way they will, and when he gets older, they will not depart that way. The interesting thing is that I lived in a culture back in the late 60s, early 70s, that was, you know, freedom, you know, dropping the inhibitions of body and all of that. And then I got into this mind trap, and, you know, it was sad the way some of it went, because you build these own paradoxes within yourself.
Yeah.
I've from the time I was in kindergarten, I had a girlfriend. I always loved women. I thought that they were the most magnificent, even at the age of 5, it was far out.
My brother too. And he even loved Barbies because it was the image of a woman. Yeah. He loves that too. That's a cool attribute.
It is. It was pretty far out. Yeah. And then you go through life and you go, but because you're taught, well, you can't have even the thought.
And that's not natural for you.
Yeah, exactly. It ain't natural.
No, because we're animalistic and we wouldn't be able to procreate if we didn't have that drive towards each other. That's important.
Even the thought, and I'm going, Well, how do you do that? How do you do that?
You can't.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
No, that's not no, you got to have that. I celebrate that for men. I'm like, you guys, a lot of men really, truly do really love and adore the image of a woman.
And it's not sexual. The thing about it is there is a beauty to the human body, the female human body. I mean, I don't know who engineered that. I don't know who designed it, but wow.
I think the masculine part of creation created it.
Well, masculine, feminine, I think it's cool. And, and apparently there are thousands and thousands of years of where others have thought the same way that I did.
Yes.
Well, Trina, it's it's gotten hot in here, and it's the hour is over with. Here and gone. Courtney Mack says, I find it interesting that we don't accept or forgive the gods because we gave them the name. They didn't know better either. Well, Courtney, it's I mean, I don't know who the gods are. I don't know who the goddesses are. I've met many of them in my study.
I think they're just spirit beings, just like we are.
I think they are. It's that question. Then are the gods human?
I think yes. I think so.
I mean, I ask that question all the time.
Not maybe not human, but the template of man, I think, would be what they might be.
Then man is not human.
I don't think so.
Interesting. That will be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I don't think man is human at all. Human is a hue of man. It's a fractal of the what once.
I asked a priest that question this weekend. I said, "Is God human?"
No.
Do you want to know what the priest said to me?
What?
No.
I know it. I know. Yes.
Said he couldn't be human. I said, but you called him him. And he said that's and this was from a Catholic priest, still, doing his ministry. And I have lots of folks still in the ministry. And I thought that was interesting because he was very quick. No.
Absolutely.
Didn't even think twice about it.
For me, is God human? No.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, Lauren, how you doing? Much love, dear.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
I love
Trina,
you.
this has been fantastic. And the REM pod did not go off one time.
And what's interesting? I literally heard we're too busy today dealing with what's happening on the other side of the world.
Yeah, there's a lot right now.
Send support to our spirit family. They are watching from above, and they're trying to help us with everything they can, but they can't do it unless their energy can anchor into this planet through us.
Mr. Bondangles and Engels, I think they said, send him some love. Well, we'll send you love, bunches of it. We'll just send you love. And I kind of just look at the guy that I'm the guy that's feeding the coal into the locomotion. Here we go. All right, everyone. We thank all of you. Namaste to all of you. Thank you. We speak peace upon the world and this moment. We will not succumb to fear. We can connect. We've been doing experiments. Lucky, I saw your experiment. I will get back to you and Courtney. I'm backed up on emails, folks. Happens, but be patient. It does. And,
Mr. Gosh, I can't imagine how many you get a day, Wayne. Wow.
And that's the problem. Wow. It's the stacking thing, because I put a star by the ones I want to get back to, but then the next day,
it's way gone. You're like, where did those stars even go to?
Look at that. How weird. And this was the green light now that is far.
Oh, hi, my friends. Yes.
Hello. Thank you. They're like, yep, we're busy. That was a break in the electromagnetic field. Oh, right. Far out. Yeah. Well, we love y'all, and we just don't mean it, in a platonic way. There is a genuine emotion attached to us. This is a group we can call family, friends, but we adore all of you. And thank you. Thank all of you.
Thank you. Yes.
Going to bring a tear to my eye. All right. Miss Trina, stay with me. I love you, dear. Everyone, we'll see you tomorrow, then next week for sure.